thrill. Reviewing new TV shows, we keep it real. Reminiscing the attitude era, wrestling at its peak. Nostalgia from the 80s and 90s, memories we seek. Pineapples for our rings, a unique touch. Geek culture in our blood, we love it so much. Geek Blurb, we love it so much. Geek Blurb, where we talk about it all, from superheroes to wrestlers. We stand tall, Ray and Kevin, the dynamic duo in sight. Geek Blurb, shining bright, shining bright. Did you hear about Pluto? That's messed up, right? Geek Blurb, taking you on a nostalgia flight. From movies to TV, we cover it all. Join us every week, we'll have a ball. Shuffle.
Hey, what's going on?
What's going on?
Not
How are
much.
you doing?
Not much. Doing good.
Good to hear.
Doing good. Got a semi jam-packed show of stuff we watched this week. We'll talk about. First of all, I wanted to start off with you. I know you started it last week. I know you've got to season 2. Have you gotten any further than season 2?
I gave up.
You did give up.
So here's season 2 was very good. I didn't give up because the show quality dipped at all. It just some shit in season 2 happens, and they do take it like straight out of Dexter. Like when you watch it, you'll see. I am planning to finish the show. I just stopped for now.
Yeah.
But yeah, they took a bunch of elements from Dexter. I thought that was funny. And season 2 will surprise the hell out of you because they kind of flip the script on situations and the woman he's involved with in that season. Very random and weird to see Jenna Ortega pop up as like the third main character of that season. It was the year before she was in Scream and X, so it was right before she became big.
Wow.
So yeah, it was just weird because she plays like the 15-year-old younger sister of his landlord because he moved from New York to LA. So yeah, season 2 was very good. Took some twists I didn't expect. But then I was like, I've already kind of seen that on Dexter. And it does get way more graphic. Like the first season isn't graphic at all. Second season, when he's out in LA, he has to try to figure things out a different way. He basically cuts a guy up and feeds him through a meat grinder. So he could dispose of the meat that way.
Wow.
But his kill room's really kind of cool. He has a kill room just like Dexter. But yeah, it's a good show. I will be continuing it on, but just not right now. I had some stuff to watch this week, so
yeah, there's a lot of stuff coming up. So, and plus you're back at work, so it's understandable. Mobland, another show you got to catch up on. It's great. This week's episode was great.
I'm only like 2 episodes in.
It's really good. Especially when the families are at war now. Spoiler. I mean, you know it's going to happen.
Yep,
that's really good. Another show I recommend. This is on Amazon Prime. Started back in April. I think they must have all dropped at the same time. I remember hearing about it a few months ago, but for some reason it came off my radar until this week. But Kevin Bacon and the Bondsman. It's awesome. Nice. I have not finished it. I'm probably going to finish it this week sometime, but very quick to get through. Episodes are 22 minutes each. There's 8 episodes. It's like The Crow, John Constantine, Ghost Rider, all rolled into one.
Interesting.
He is a bail bondsman, a bounty hunter, who ends up being murdered in the first few minutes of the episode. You find that out in the trailer. And he goes to hell, and he becomes the devil's bounty. Okay. And he goes after demons in every episode.
So I guess you could say he's also kind of like Spawn.
Yep, exactly.
Right. Yeah, okay.
And once his task is done, he's going to go to hell. So he has demons to catch, and he's working for the devil in this weird kind of way. It's kind of cool how the show does it, but yeah, it's awesome. Few episodes in, like I said, 20-minute episodes, very quick to get through. You can get through this whole entire season in like 2.5, 3 hours. So really, really good. That's on Prime. This week's episode of The Studio.
Holy shit.
The one that the Snyder Group has probably been waiting for
forever.
They
praise this up and down. That's how you make a joke about the Snyder Cut, this, that, and the other. I'm sure we'll be talking about things that probably during the trailer part that we'll be discussing this selective group of people also.
Yes. I'm excited to talk about that. Yep. But the episode set at the Golden Globes. I believe they filmed the night of the Golden Globes, and they had a bunch of stars. And they used the set of the Golden Globes. I can't tell, but it's definitely the set, the entrance and everything. Zoe Kravitz, Adam Scott, Anthony Starr, Aaron Moriarty from The Boys. He did. Seth Rogen produces that, so that's understandable. Director Aaron Sorkin.
That was
Ted
cool.
Sarandos. Ted Sarandos from Netflix was in this because he kept getting thanked on the stage by everybody that was going up there. The whole episode is Seth Rogen's character wants to be thanked on stage, and he's asking Zoe Kravitz, because she has a movie that she directed, to thank him, and he does it in weird ways. But the big thing that everybody, and especially in the geek culture and Snyder Group and everything, Zack Snyder is one of the presenters for Movie of the Year.
Which is how you know this isn't the real Golden Globes, because he's never gotten an invite.
Right. Especially for the highest title of the night. So yeah,
exactly.
So yeah, it was good though. Very, very good show. This is by the way, not the end.
The real joke about Zack Snyder is the fact that he was actually at the Golden Globes, not the Snyder Cut joke he said at the Golden Globes.
This is not the end. There's 2 more episodes, I think. I think there's 2 more. But yeah, it's really good. And another great show, episode 4 of The Last of Us. Now I know there's a lot of game comparisons we're going to get into, but first let's talk about the first 2 minutes of the episode and Josh Peck from Drake and Josh as a quick cameo.
You said that, I'm like, who the fuck is Josh Peck?
Yeah, but he's been in a whole bunch of stuff. You see him in a ton. Yeah, you've seen him in a ton of shit too. He's a good actor. Jeffrey Wright was a new character brought in this season and in this episode.
His role in the game.
Yep, I did find that out. Yeah, he plays Isaac, who works for the Wolves. He's part of this group that spun off out of the Fedra and everything else, as far as I know. I know the game and the TV show had the Take On Me on the guitar with Ellie singing it. Pretty much the same exact scene, play by play, to TV to game. I did see the side by side of that. The Scars versus the Wolves. The Scars is another group. It's like a militant group that's kind of religious, as far as I guess they kind of worship somebody that may have died in the apocalypse at one point. And the Wolves, they're at warring factions in the apocalypse in Seattle. And Ellie gets bitten again, but this time in front of Dina. And Dina thinks she's going to turn, but doesn't realize that Ellie's been bitten a whole bunch of times before. Yep. So she finally shows her the bite and tells her. I'm
surprised with how close they are that she doesn't tell her before then. Like when they're going off on this trip, like, oh, by the way, I can't get the virus. Like,
how did it take so long? Yeah, right.
So
yeah, so close that they end up scissoring in this episode. The other thing,
somebody got some.
The other thing. Dina, you find out, is pregnant, and Ellie wants to be the father of the baby. So,
that whole scene wasn't very good. They handled all that stuff way better in the game, which kind of sucks.
Yeah, I kind of.
But we're actually almost at the point where they're about to pass where I stopped playing the game. So,
okay,
yeah,
okay, yeah, it's really good though. I liked.
I'm enjoying it. I think I like the fact that you actually haven't played the game, or like I've already. I watched the cutscene movie like a year and a half, 2 years ago, and then I started playing the game again recently. So it's good to hear your perspective because you haven't even played the first game. So
no, yeah, I played like 4 hours of the first game, and then when you get into the building that's going sideways, and one of the first time you meet all the clickers, and I kept dying. I was like, I can't do this. I'm not built for this.
It can be tough. You should try playing on the hard difficulties. It's actually relatively easy on the easier difficulties once you learn the mechanics, but the hard difficulty, you do not find ammo anywhere.
I'm not built for gaming like I used to be.
Either am I.
I'm just not.
The big one for me is Star Wars, the last one. Not was it Jedi Survivor or his first one was Fallen Order, so Jedi Survivor, whichever one the last one was. That had, because people were getting confused and lost during the first game, so they literally have the easiest mode in the game is called story mode, where you
they have that a lot now.
Yeah, where you just have a shit ton of fun just going through the story.
Yeah.
And it makes sense because people will just upload the story on YouTube, so now they just let it so you can like play through it. If you want a little bit light difficulty, you just want to have some fun.
Yeah, I beat the first game. I never played the second game of the Survivor. I'm gonna play that.
Yeah.
I did. I don't know why I'm getting into video game talk, but I did get into Hogwarts Legacy. That's a really good game too.
Yeah, it's a fucking great game. And I don't even like Harry Potter like that.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll have a video game minute sometime.
We'll have to do a video game minute. We got to bring those back.
We do. Another great set of episodes. In fact, the best episodes of this series, of any Star Wars series so far. Andor, this third chapter of the 4 that are going to be coming out next week's the finale. Episode 7 through 9. Episode 7 was good. Kind of a great start to what we're going to get in episode 8.
It was a very good. I consider these all, when they release these, I consider them they're acts. Like a movie would be an act. So that was a very good first act of a movie, followed by 2 tremendous acts of a movie.
Yeah. We see Yavin 4, which has a huge part in episode 4. There's a terror campaign, is what the Empire is calling the resistance, is what's going on with the rebels. They're calling it a terror campaign. They show a force healer, somebody that says she's one with the force and can heal people. And you kind of believe that she may be, because she sees Andor. She actually doesn't even see Andor. She feels Andor coming into an area and magnetizes right to him and brings him over, goes over to him and talks to him. And she knows that he's kind of hurting. He's hurt his shoulder. He got shot in the shoulder. So you get a little bit of the force built into this. At this time, the force and everything is kind of a myth. Nobody really believes in Jedis anymore. Then we get into episode 8. That was a great build up to the episode 8. This whole planet of Gorman, the Gorman people, everybody, they have a resurgence. This whole season's been building up to that. And they're having protests. They're protesting the Empire coming in and taking over their land, building this giant tower that they have a feeling is for arms, and it's an armory that they're saying it's not, but it definitely is. They have proof. And then they find out the Emperor's true motive on Gorman, why he's there, is there's a giant stone that he needs on the planet, underneath the planet, and that's why he's there. Having probably an idea that it has to do with the Death Star, because we know that's coming up. And we see in this, I can't remember the guy's name, but he's been in this season. He was in the first season. He's kind of the squirrely guy who's dating the much
like Rogue
Imperial.
One. I don't know anyone's fucking name in the show except for Andor's.
I know Bix because that's a 3-letter word that's easy to remember. But you see some KX droids. They're in a room ready. They're just kind of sitting there waiting. So you know something's going to happen in this Imperial encampment. Then all of a sudden, the Imperials go crazy because the protesters are getting out of hand in their eyes. And they just start shooting people and having a complete and utter massacre of everybody in the town square that are protesting. This is the first time in a very long time I have felt a war in Star Wars. It has felt like war. This reminded me when I was watching this of the Revolutionary War, when they had the Boston Massacre. The very first time somebody shoots on the other side and the whole entire group of people are murdered. Just because one bullet goes off and everybody gets murdered. And then they bring in the KX droids. If you know K2SO from Rogue One, it's one of those droids. They bring in a whole squadron of them and take out everybody. One gets left behind, and it tries to stop Andor from escaping. This one gets attacked by Andor, and are actually attacking Andor.
And
Andor as Andor is about to be killed by this guy, he gets chopped in half by somebody that's saving Andor. And come to find out, this is K2SO that's going to be in Rogue One.
K2SO, the scene of him just throwing people against the walls and like blood
It's incredible.
He was just like fucking tossing people like rag dolls against walls and shit right before he gets taken out.
This is what I was hoping for this Rogue One prequel that we're going to be getting this season.
This is what I was hoping for in the first season, but the slow build has made it worth it. The first season is just so brilliantly written. Especially that monologue at the end about never seeing the sun. And I mean, Tony Gilroy does not like Star Wars, the showrunner of this.
No.
He got brought in to finish Rogue One. He did all the reshoots on Rogue One. And he just basically was like, when Disney approached him about this, he basically just hired like 10 people that were like Star Wars aficionados. And I think that is a great compromise, because every other person that's been hired by Disney Star Wars to do Star Wars has essentially failed in the general audience's eyes. Outside of maybe JJ, the first Rogue
Filoni.
One. What's that?
Maybe Filoni. Everybody kind of loves Filoni.
Yeah, I was gonna say, well, Ahsoka was a disappointment to me too. But like, there's been like Mandalorian. There's been, I'd say, Episode 7. Everyone overall positive response, and Rogue One. But besides that, every time they hire a creator and brag about this creator and how much they love the product and grew up on it, blah blah blah.
Patty Jenkins,
they make something
for one.
They make something that the fans don't like. So it's nice to have this show that seems like everyone likes, except for the real hardcore George Lucas fans like Star Wars Theory.
The legend, the legend, the ones who love the legend stuff, the legacy stuff was canceled when
the
Disney
people, exactly. The people that still have a problem with this are people that read all the books and think there's only one way to do it, and it's George Lucas's way. And I get that.
Disneyfied it too much.
I get that, especially with the way the trilogy ended up after Episode 7. So whatever.
Yeah. So that's where we left off in Episode 8. So we're already talking, wow, this is a great prequel to Rogue One. We see where K2SO is getting started, but that wasn't it. There was a 9th episode.
Yes.
The aftermath of everything on Coruscant. This has reminded me a lot of Episode 1. Very political, part of the Senate in Coruscant. You see Mon Mothma. You see the Gorman senator after the uproar in Gorman, where they had the big, huge massacre. The Gorman senator has been arrested. So it's kind of a war crime. Like your whole entire country, your people have started an uproar, so you're going to be arrested. And he was arrested right in front of the Senate. You see Bail Organa again. You see Mon Mothma, both senators, taking a stand on the Imperial Senate floor. And Mon Mothma has to escape. So they send Andor to save her for the escape and have a clean getaway to Yavin 4. You don't see her go to Yavin 4 because that happens on Rebels. Found that out after the episode, but you do see Andor go back to Yavin.
Do they have post shows on these?
They do not.
Okay.
No, not as far as I knew. By the way, the Last of Us one is great.
I haven't seen a single post show of those, so I'm gonna watch those.
I haven't played the game, so I get a lot of glimpses of what the side by side comparisons are. And we also see two things happen. Bix kind of makes Andor choose the rebellion over her, and she takes herself out of the picture. She leaves Yavin and makes Andor have to fight because everybody wants Andor to fight. He's going to eventually be a great general. He's a great leader, but he's in love with Bix. He wants to actually go run away with her before the war starts. And she's like, no. And she leaves a message to him on a hologram telling him, no, you need to fight. I'm leaving. I'm taking myself out of the picture. I'm gone. And then by the time you realize it, she's already taken the shuttle and off the planet. The other thing that happens, the very last scene of this episode, you see K2SO being reprogrammed by a group of rebels, and you see Alan Tudyk's voice come out of this robot at the very end of the episode. I cannot wait for the next 3 because we're going to have K2 and Andor team up for the finale.
I have a question for you. I watched a lot of Andor, so it was like towards the end of my binging of Andor because I literally started from the beginning on Wednesday night. Which is why I didn't actually get to Dark Side of the Ring. I'll be watching that later, but we can talk about that. That guy who's about to kill him, and he goes, "Who are you?" And then the guy gets shot in the head. Who was that guy?
That guy was in the first season. He's an Imperial officer.
But like, it seemed like the way Andor said that, it was like, "Who are you?" Like, it seemed like he was supposed to like mean more than.
but and you got to realize, okay, Andor did meet this guy. He knew who he was in the first season.
Right. Yep.
Andor has been through so much of war that he didn't even recognize the guy anymore. He's been through so much.
Okay.
Small
So
period of time.
that's all that was meant by that was basically
this guy.
So much shit. Okay.
This guy obsesses over Andor. Knows who Andor is.
Yep.
Andor doesn't give a fuck who this guy is. Right. He doesn't even remember him, and that's kind of like the thing of what they're trying to say. Like this guy took his whole life to be an imperial officer, working for the Empire, and he's kind of just a nobody. Nobody knew who he was.
I really wanted to watch the first season before the second season came out. I just didn't have time because it's a long season.
Yeah,
it's crazy that 12 episodes now is considered a long season of TV, but whatever.
Yeah. Because we're so used to back in the day watching 24.
Oh my God, Lost 22 1-hour episodes.
Smallville, 11 seasons.
I don't even want to think about. I'll throw up if I think about that.
I don't know how you did that.
October 15th to Christmas, I nailed the whole series, and that's with taking 3 weeks off.
Wow.
Yeah, I was aggressive.
You were aggressive. But yeah, it was great. Cannot wait for the finale. It comes out Tuesday night. Sucks that it comes out at 9:00 because I once I get into it, I'm gonna watch the whole thing and I'm gonna be up till fucking midnight.
See, for me, it's perfect because this time of year I get out of work at 8:30.
Oh yeah,
home, shower, and then start it. Of course, I didn't watch it the second week, but I'll be watching it as soon as they come on this week.
It's awesome. You have not watched Dark Side of the Ring.
No, but talk about it. I need some. Let me know what you think about it.
You do know about the guy though, Billy Jack.
Oh, I know all about Billy Jack. He's got my favorite shoot interview in history. The guy's a fucking psychopath.
Okay, so the guy is in prison.
He claimed that Vince McMahon was the son of Daniel Benoit. Yes. Yeah. Did they talk about that?
He actually claimed that he was the son of Vince McMahon Sr. So Yeah, so there's a lot here to unpack.
There's a lot to unpack. Okay, we'll go in depth.
You know a lot about him.
Yeah,
we'll go in depth. But yeah, he is a character I don't know no idea about. He's in jail right now, waiting for his trial for killing his wife. That's 10 years older than him. She was 85. He's 73, 72, something like that.
In his shoot interview,
dementia.
In his shoot interview, he talked about how he was having a son soon. I don't know if that was true or not because I gotta find that fucking shoot interview. I gotta do it. If there's one thing I gotta do, I gotta find it because you need to see this thing.
But yeah, he's a crazy guy, very very crazy. One of the craziest wrestlers I've ever heard.
Yeah,
definitely on the Alex Jones type.
So
of
is
spectrum.
He interviewed over a jail phone like Shine? Recorded that.
He is not on a jail phone. They actually brought the cameras into the jail cell with a lawyer.
Hours. Gotcha.
With a lawyer next to him, asking him if he can answer questions about murders and stuff that happened in the past. And they said he was a cocaine runner. It's crazy story.
I can't wait.
The Last Dance. I watched the first 3 episodes last week. I watched next 3, episodes 4 through 7. Thing I forgot to mention about this show is set in the 90s, of course, and the 90s soundtrack, the hip hop soundtrack they put into this was fantastic.
Oh, it's great. Yeah.
Episode 4 talks about building the dynasty, bringing in Dennis Rodman, and him partying in Vegas with Carmen and Electra, which we brought up last week.
Yeah, he just left during the playoffs, right?
Yeah, during the playoffs, he's like, I need a break, dude. So he left, came back. Kind of apologized to Michael and everybody else is like, sorry, it won't happen again. This episode also tackled bringing in Phil Jackson, being a team coach instead of individualizing Michael Jordan and making the team work with Michael to kind of have their plays so the other teams that are playing them don't go after Michael all the time, knowing that he's going to be the point guy.
Mm-hmm.
And his way of coaching, Zen Buddhism, Native American philosophies. He's a very spiritual guy. Talks about the rivalry with the Detroit Pistons. I have no idea about any of this stuff.
Yep.
91 fighting with the Lakers. This is one of Magic Johnson's, if not Magic.
It's his last finals appearance,
season.
Yeah. Last season. Yeah.
So you got Magic Johnson versus Michael Jordan, 2 of the biggest names ever, going 1-on-1 in the finals. Awesome. MJ relying on his team to win their first championship, and they end up winning a championship. And then episode 5 is all about the cultural icon of Michael Jordan, what he became in the 90s with movies and commercials. And
that's the Looney Tunes or the Space Jam episode, right?
Yep.
Where they talk about him and the way he had to split his time up between filming.
Actually, I don't think they went that far into it. This is more of I'm gonna be like Mike, the commercials and the Nikes and all that stuff.
Yeah,
the early stuff. And also I forgot the thing we forgot to mention last week is they're talking about the Last Dance, which is the last time the Bulls go to the finals in 1998.
Mm-hmm.
But they're also telling the story kind of a side by side of Michael coming up at the same time.
Filmed like a
going back and
Tarantino film.
forth.
Like if Tarantino made a documentary, this is how he would do it. It goes back and forth.
But going back and forth. So they start off in this episode going to 1998, and they show Michael showing up with a rookie Kobe Bryant going 1-on-1 with Kobe.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it's an all-star game. And then they go back to 1980s, talk about his deal with Nike, which we watched in the movie with Ben Affleck year before, which was great. Talked all about that. Air Jordan, how those shoes became so popular. When he went back to, was it Brooklyn? When he played the Knicks? Or
Jordan?
The Knicks. Jordan went back the last time he was going to play in Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, the Knicks.
He brought out he brought out a pair of Jordan 1s and wore them that night.
And his feet bled.
His feet bled. Yeah, we talked about that. Talked about the 92 Olympics for the first time being able to use NBA pros in the Olympic team, and of course everybody knows the Dream Team. And everybody from the 80s and 90s who was popular was part of this team. Is an iconic
even
picture.
Johnson, who had just been diagnosed with AIDS, which was kind of incredible.
Larry Bird, who just retired, who was going to have
couldn't even walk.
Yeah, couldn't even walk. He was part of this team as well. But they're all like icons, like crazy how this happened. But perfect timing. The Olympic has pros now, right? Still, so they're still doing it.
Yep.
Isaiah Thomas, who was part of the Pistons, was blackballed from this team because Michael Jordan supposedly didn't like him.
Isaiah Thomas was a dick. No one liked him. It wasn't just Jordan.
Okay.
It was literally everyone on the team.
The whole team. That's what it seemed like.
And they added Christian Laettner instead of Shaquille O'Neal to the team. And those were like the two big guys in the draft that year.
The Reebok logo. I don't know some of the stuff. I don't know what I wrote because it's been so long. The Be Like Mike campaign that he was trying to do for children, and just the fanatical of just everything fanatical fans of Michael Jordan. How that time period in a time capsule. How Michael Jordan's popularity was just huge,
right?
Not just in this country, worldwide. He was just an icon.
Yeah, it was
and then
him, Tiger Woods, Hulk Hogan, Muhammad Ali were like the top four most recognizable people around the world.
Yeah, and that includes like cartoon characters like Mickey Mouse and Superman as well.
Yep.
The fame, episode 6 talks about all of his fame and having to deal with this huge popularity, living in hotel rooms because he can't be seen in public, talking to fans, talking to the press, which just gets annoying, talking to paparazzi. The 93 Knicks adapt into this bullish rivals. They have a brand new team. And the Knicks, Ewing, of course, is the big one. I don't remember who else is on the team, but they have to
John Starks would be another one. That would be that was the Knicks, those early 90s Knicks teams. The Menendez brothers, you know that story, right?
Yep. Oh yeah.
The John Starks card. They were at the game I used to have that card, and I wish I could find it because it's probably worth money.
Yeah, it's got to be. Yeah, because
but everyone had that card back in the day. Everyone.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But yeah, they kind of had to be bulls to beat the Bulls. They had to be bullies. They had a three-peat in 1993. That's why this show keeps going back and forth because they had a three-peat in the early 90s. And then they had a three-peat later in the 90s after Jordan comes back from retirement. And this episode starts to talk about Jordan's future being put into question. They end up firing Phil Jackson in 1998, early before the season's over. They say he's not coming back next year. And Jordan's like, if he doesn't come back, I'm not coming back. And this is during the last dance, the last time they're going to be in the finals.
This is why Chicago fans hate their owner with a passion.
Yep.
Because their owner literally was like, I'm not bringing back Phil Jackson for whatever reason. And everyone was like, well, I'm not coming back.
Yeah. Yep. And episode 7 talks about his retirement in 1993. After they won their third championship, he retired. This is retirement number 1. And he goes to play baseball. And he does pretty miserable in baseball, but he gets the way the documentary says he gets progressively better as the season goes on, working in the AAA.
But I mean,
But
he's 28 years old trying to play
Yeah, right.
baseball for the first time.
right.
And he was only out of the league, and it got his father killed, and he was only out of the league because of fucking gambling debts.
Yeah, this is what the episode was about. It was about
Yep.
his dad. His dad get murdered. He was driving through, I believe, North Carolina.
Mhm.
Stopped at a rest area, and somebody saw probably his expensive car he was sitting in, sleeping overnight, and somebody went in and shot him and stole all of his stuff and killed him. And I think they must have found his body, I think, miles away or something. I can't remember.
Yeah, I think that's the
whole
story
car was
they try to
gutted.
tell you.
Yeah, that's what they say.
But everyone thinks that Jordan had some debts, and his dead father was the result of those debts.
They talk about that in the documentary
Yep.
too. They talk about how there's this conspiracy theory and everybody's how dare you do that. Jordan retires because he has just a heavy loss and loss of motivation. He ends up retiring. The media storm that followed that, holy shit! He had a press conference announcing his retirement. He had a press conference when he joined the AAA baseball team. He had press conferences everywhere. The great thing about the press conference, I mean the baseball, was Terry Francona.
Yep, I was gonna say I can't remember if Terry Francona was on it or not, but yeah,
he was part of
that
the
was cool.
he was part of the documentary.
That was his. I think that was his first job managing. Also,
Okay,
I think
that makes sense because they ended up going to Red Sox a few years later and won their championship year. But yeah, they had to have a Jordanless season in 1993, 1994, being led by Scottie Pippen, and he did pretty well. He got to the finals or got almost to the finals.
Oh yeah, almost yeah.
But yeah,
did they lose to Orlando? I think they lost to Orlando.
I believe so. Yeah,
and then Orlando lost to Houston because Houston won the 2 times Jordan was out.
But yeah, that's where I'm at right now. Episode 7. We got a few more episodes. I'm gonna talk about them. I know we're getting close to the finals in real time now. How are the Celtics doing?
I'll talk about that in a sec. Before we get to that, there's God damn it, Hoyt. God damn it. There's a great Orlando Magic documentary about that early 90s team on 30 for 30. I definitely want you to check that out at some point. Maybe after the Last Dance.
Okay, yeah, I'll do that.
God damn it, Celtics.
For the end of the season.
Yeah.
So they're in the playoffs.
They're in the second round, yeah. And they lost. Okay. They just during the regular season, they were 46-1 when up by 15 points or more. They just blew back-to-back 20-point leads in the fourth quarter.
Wow.
Tatum has been playing like an absolute jack-off. But I will say this. Joe Mazzulla doesn't lose when there's a pope. We have a pope.
And he's American.
Celtics
he's
6,
American.
Baby.
He's from Chicago.
American Pope from Chicago. He's going to be serving up those fucking little crackers like deep dish pizzas, baby. Let's go. Celtics 6.
So the game is tomorrow night as we record Saturday, third game of the series. So we'll see how that plays next week.
3:30. Yeah.
Oh, that's not bad.
Nah. I'll be at work, but whatever.
Another thing I watched this week, that's it for sports this week. Conan O'Brien had a Mark Twain prize, and they ended up filming the whole entire thing. This is on Netflix currently. It's great. It's a whole career retrospective.
Okay, I didn't know if it was like a stand-up or what it was.
No, it's actually just a whole bunch of people going on and praising Conan. And not only that...
It's like the reverse of a roast.
They brought on characters from his show back in the day. If you ever watched the Late Night with Conan O'Brien show, they had the masturbating bear.
Yep.
They had Triumph the Insult Comic Dog was the announcer who was bringing people out. A lot of characters from the show, the Interrupting Man. Some great stuff. A lot of Will Ferrell was one of the presenters. Adam Sandler was one of the guys. A whole bunch of comics and people were part of this. Very funny night. If you loved Conan back in the day, it's great to see this. And I kind of wish that Conan had a TV show again. Especially on late night, where late night right now is kind of trash. And I love Stephen Colbert. I loved him back in the day with the Daily Show, but I think it was just that group of people I loved. I loved Jimmy Kimmel back in the day, but I don't like Jimmy Fallon as a host. I'm big on this time period with Conan, Jay, even Letterman. I liked Letterman a little bit, but Conan was my guy back in the day.
I don't even know if I had a guy. I think I've always liked Conan. I just never stayed up or cared to watch those. My mom always watched Jay Leno, so I probably saw more of Jay growing up. But
Jay was on early too.
Yeah, that's the other thing. I've seen a lot of Conan though, like just through like clips,
Clips.
like reels on
Yep.
Facebook and shit like that. Especially
He
like
keeps
when
his.
he had Bill Burr on a bunch. So like
Oh
all
yeah,
my shit was
yeah.
Bill Burr reels for a while. So
He was the comedian's guy.
yeah,
Every
the
comedian loves
comedian's
him because
comedian. Yep.
yeah, because he was just so smart. He came right out of Harvard at the Lampoons, went right into
That was
Simpsons,
that was the
Saturday Night
funniest.
Live.
That was the funniest thing about his thing with Bill Burr because it was when all those people were like paying to get into college or whatever, all the celebrities,
Yeah,
and he was basically like, "So it's only hard when you get there." And Conan's like, "Well, I guess." He's like, "You know what? Harvard really isn't that difficult. You just got to get in."
yeah. Yeah, it's great. It's on Netflix right now if you want to watch it. It's about an hour and 20 minutes or so.
Cool.
So this week's year of Superman, I'm so pissed off because the rights to this show are so confusing. It was on Max at one point. It was streaming, and for some reason, it was taken off.
They
We'll
took
get
off
into the
everything.
history.
It's a fucking
Yeah, but this show is one I was hoping I would catch up on. Now I'm gonna buy the series, which is fine.
Want me to look into something?
Yeah, I have to buy the series.
I know.
But this week we're going to talk about Superboy. This series came out in 1988, lasted until 1992, kind of abruptly ended. But it was huge. It was in syndication, so you're already talking. It's past everything. So it's on in the middle of the day. That's how I'm trying to think of the first thing I remember as a kid watching as far as superheroes concerned. I remember when I was really young, I saw the Incredible Hulk on television, but I also remember
that was
seeing
my first. It was Incredible Hulk.
I also remember it's like implanted in my brain of the Bizarro episode of this series. And that's my first like glimpse of Superman before Christopher Reeves really. That's why I want to talk about it this week. And I was not able to watch any of the episodes, but I remember them kind of when I was growing up. But the show was on syndication, so it was all sporadic throughout the country, different times, different stations, whatever. Done by Viacom. Started off in season 1 with an actor unknown named John Newton. That's him right there. He came in season 1 to play Superboy. I talked about it a little bit last week, but in the movie side of it, we already had the 4th movie, Quest for Peace, which was crap. What happened? The Salkinds sold it to another group, the Cannon Group. The Cannon Group went under, but they still had the rights. They didn't sell the rights to Superboy. They sold the rights to Superman, so they could have Superboy on television. That's what ended up happening. And then they ended up, when they did the television show, they figured, well, we can tell more comic stories. And going further into the comic lore, so you see a lot of characters later on in the series that we're going to get into in a minute. They're kind of looking more like their comic counterpart. So in season 1, they brought in this guy, John Newton. Towards the end of season 1, they started changing the aesthetic of the show. It became more campy. It became more comic book-like. By the time season 2 rolled along, they brought in a new guy, Gerard Christopher, I believe his name is. And he ended up coming in for season 2, and he lasted till the end in season 4. But that's him right there. Get into some facts about the show. It lasted 100 episodes. So it probably had a bunch of reruns. I remember seeing it, so I probably ended up watching it on reruns.
Yep.
But yeah, the Salkinds still own Superboy. They ended up getting the Superman rights back. We'll talk about that in a minute. But Superboy was the first weekly TV series to be produced by them. It was actually the first being produced by Disney MGM Studios, which just got built in Orlando. And they moved halfway through season 1 to Universal Studios, which just got built in Orlando around the same time. So the show was being filmed in Orlando. It became their first series as well. It was renamed after season 3 to The Adventures of Superboy. And the plan was to end this season on a season 4 cliffhanger that was going to turn into telefilm movies. It would have told the rest of the series story. It was going to give an official ending to the series. This idea was canceled during production of season 4 when WB started developing Lois and Clark: The New Adventures of Superman, which we're going to talk about in a few weeks. That was going to come out in 1993 in their season of 1993 television. So in turn, because of this, WB decided to cancel the Salkinds license in 1992, and it canceled this series of Superboy. Reason being, WB wanted to take the characters of Superman into another more modern direction, kind of what the comic books did in the 80s. And it became a legal battle between the Salkinds and Warner Brothers for a decade, and it didn't actually get straightened out for like another 15 years. But WB also purchased back in this time the film rights from the Salkinds, who ended up getting them back from the Cannon Group when they went under after Superman 4 failed. But now the WB has the full rights to Superman, releasing them, distributing them. But they also have at this time bought the DC Comics catalog. So they had the merger, the Time Warner merger around 89, 90. So they had a huge thing going on. Isla Salkind settled the rights in 2005. That's how long it took for the series to come out on DVD, by the way. And per the terms of the settlement, Warner Brothers retained all of the rights to past and future Superman franchise television and films, with the exception of Superman 4, but I think this has changed. I think they own that now. It was owned by Paramount Pictures because that's who distributed it. But we'll talk about a little bit of the episodes which I haven't seen, but Mr. McSixaplex debuted in this series. Very first time we see him. He shows up again in, I believe, Smallville. I think he was in Lois and Clark.
He was in Smallville, Lois and Clark. He was not in Superman and Lois.
He's an imp from the fifth dimension who kind of reminds me a lot of Rumpelstiltskin.
This is somebody I feel like James Gunn will include at some point in his movie.
If he's not in Superman already, then he's kept it secret. Exactly. I would not be surprised to see Mr. McSixaplex.
Like it's like a James Gunn villain. Like
yeah, for sure. But the one, like I mentioned before, the one I remember is Bizarro. And this is exactly right straight out of the comic books, except the only thing different is the emblem would be backwards.
I was gonna say, why isn't the emblem backwards? That's annoying.
Yeah, they didn't want to spend more. They didn't want to spend more on costumes, Kevin.
So did they just give him a Superboy suit and call it a day?
Yes, pretty much.
They could have just reversed. God damn it.
But he came back a whole bunch of times too, but yeah, he was part of it throughout the series. Another episode, this is one of the better episodes on IMDb. I think this is the 2 highest rated episodes of the series in season 3. They brought in another world. Superboy ends up going to another world and meets another Superboy. And if that looks familiar to you, that is the Superboy that was in the comics at the time. I think they had the same guy dressed as him in Superman and Lois, the one that you watched last year. They had the kids in the finale dressed as the 90s Superboy, right?
Oh yeah.
Yep. Coat and everything.
Yep.
Yeah, this is him with the glasses.
And that was kind of his look in Smallville, similar-ish in points of Smallville.
Yeah. They were definitely going for that aesthetic because that was huge in the comics for a while, especially in the 90s. This was the Lex Luthor of the time, and that was the kind of the Jimmy Olsen. It wasn't Jimmy Olsen. I can't remember the guy's name, the character's name, but that was kind of the Jimmy Olsen-like character of the series. And that was Alana Ling. She was in each season of the show. Another thing on this series that it's known for, because George Lazenby, who we talked about a whole bunch of times in 007, James Bond after Connery, was Jor-El.
He's Jor-El?
He was Jor-El. That's him right there. And Laura was played by one of the Bond girls, I believe, in his movie or in one of the other Bond movies. She's one of the Bond girls too. But yeah, there's an arc in season 2 when George Lazenby came in to play Jor-El. But I did want to mention that I didn't want to leave the Superman talk without talking about this series because it's probably the one Superman thing I remember. The first thing I remember is Superman before even getting into the movies. So, next up, before the end of the month, we got 2 things we got to talk about. First thing is Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman, which came out the year after this was canceled. That's the whole reason why this was canceled. Warner Brothers took over the character, wanted to have a more modern take on Superman, set in Metropolis with Superman this time, and they brought in Dean Cain. We'll talk all about that series.
He's FYI, if you didn't listen to it yet, he's on Rosenbaum's podcast either this week or last. It's a good listen.
Awesome.
So check it out when you're driving around tonight.
Very political guy. He's a South Republican.
I've softened on my stance after listening to the interview. He seems like
Yeah.
good dude. He
But
has
he's a
some,
huge
he has some
geek,
views
though.
that he put out there that I just wish he didn't. Like he's
Kind of like Zachary
he's kind of like
Levi too.
anti-human rights. Like it's not just that he's a Republican, but he's like very far end. Yeah.
But iconic 90s Superman, and this is
Yeah.
when there was no movies
Yep.
for 15 years. So
I've
4
seen the
seasons of the show.
first 3 episodes. I'll try to burn through some more. Let me know any you recommend me to watch.
I'm going to go through
hope it's still on
IMDb.
Max. I hope it's still on Max because
It is. I
that was
checked.
like a year ago, so.
There is one arc I need you to watch. I'll get the episode titles. There's one where he meets up with H.G. Wells, the Time Machine. I love that part of the series.
You know what? I'll definitely watch that because I love time machines, so time travel stuff, so or whatever. So.
Yeah, we'll get some episodes. It's not gonna be for a couple of weeks. The other thing we got to talk about, which was a phenomena in 1993, was the death of Superman, and we already know we're gonna be reading that. We're going to be talking about how huge that was. It was in the newspapers, magazines, how they're killing off Superman. What the hell are you doing?
Yep.
But it took a turn. Not only did they kill him, but they rebirthed him as a whole other cool looking character with the long black hair and everything, and the black suit and everything. We'll talk all about that.
Awesome.
Lois and Clark adapted some of that stuff too with the black suit, and I know black suit's been in almost everything since. It was in the Snyder Cut. It was in everything. So
no reason for it to be in the Snyder Cut, but it's in the Snyder Cut.
It's in the Snyder Cut, yeah. So with that being said, let's get into the news. And it's not a news segment, we have a trailer around it. Great trailer today for fucking Peacemaker season 2. Holy shit.
Oh my god.
Wow.
The crash out online has been something to watch. Shout out to Slav Free Talks. That guy's been doing the Lord's work today with the cult. This trailer looks absolutely fucking. And like, I like the first season of Peacemaker, but it's not like my favorite thing. Like, I have friends on my Discord that think it's like the greatest thing ever. I just thought it was awesome. Very fun week to week watch. Yeah. There's only a few episodes I would go back though to rewatch. Is what I mean. Like, it's a very enjoyable show. But
when
this season looks like it's 10 times better. When
you find out that John Cena did that whole entire thing where he was naming off names that was all off the top of his head. Holy fuck. First of all, let's talk about some cameos. Guy Gardner, Hawkgirl, Maxwell Lord, who's played by James Gunn's brother.
Oh, and FYI, there has been multiple versions of Hawkgirl. And I've seen a lot of people attacking this version of it with stuff that's not even like in this character's background all day. That's all I've been dealing with. It's been awful.
Okay. But they're trying to recruit and have an interview in the beginning of the trailer with Peacemaker. They're all laughing at him and they're eating popcorn as he's kind of doing the Peacemaker thing and talking rambling on.
Yeah.
Another thing, this is my favorite scene from the trailer, the top right, if you're watching on YouTube. That is Michael Rooker.
Yep,
cool
sure is.
Flames dressed as an Indian. This is gonna be awesome. But the greatest thing about this trailer is he goes through this room with a whole bunch of doors, which are definitely pocket dimensions, and he ends up going into a world where he ends up meeting himself in the reverse. And that is him saying, "Who the fuck are you?"
Yes.
So of course we know that this is set kind of in the DCEU. But we know that they're going into the DCU.
Yes.
Pocket dimensions. They're going to bridge. Is that how they're going to bridge it with pocket dimensions?
I've seen a bunch of theories like the DCEU Peacemaker is going to kill this Peacemaker and basically be like bad guy in the DCU.
Right.
There's a bunch of theories going around. Of course, the whole beginning part with the interview. James has said this is set after Superman, but I wonder if that part and that part alone is before Superman. And maybe Mr. Terrific hasn't joined them yet, or Terrific already left the group during Superman.
Right.
I have a lot of questions after this.
The other thing, Rick Flag Sr. knows that John killed his son, so he's on the hunt for Peacemaker, in this, which is awesome. That's what I was hoping for. I cannot wait for this series. Debuts just a few weeks after Superman, like a month after Superman.
August 21st.
August, I mean, yeah.
Yep.
So I cannot wait for that. Got a brand new trailer for Squid Game season 3.
One more thing before we move on. Are we getting a new intro?
Strike that.
Are we getting a new intro?
Yes, we are. He already said we were.
Okay,
he said we were getting a brand new song.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah, because that song was awesome. I think it was right when we started the podcast, right
really
around the
was,
time we
yeah.
started the
It
podcast.
was within a year.
Yeah. That was an awesome song. Squid Game season 3, the end of it, coming out on June 27th. I had a trailer for that. Looked great. But the trailer that everybody's talking about, besides the one that came out today, was Grand Theft Auto 6, because it was delayed till May 26th of 2026. But the trailer looked awesome. Set in Florida, set in Vice City again, but this time in modern time, not in the 80s.
One of the
and it's gonna be
characters
a
is
lot
actually
of
named
cool stuff.
Batista. One of the characters is named Batista. Apparently,
Awesome.
according to the Grand Theft Auto wiki.
The rumors about this game, what this game is going to be, it's going to be like Florida on crack.
Yep.
I
mean,
heard
Florida's
one
already
time,
on crack, but
I heard it's going to be even more on crack. I heard at one time they're going to have an amusement park, a fully operational amusement park like Disney World as part of this game, where you go in and you can go on rides and it's going to be fully interactive and everything. That's going to be cool. But yeah, I cannot wait. A lot of people are going to be taking time off of work to be playing this game for weeks on end for that.
Yeah, I might have to come up with some COVID again or something.
Yeah, come up with another COVID. And we got a trailer for The Conjuring: Last Rites, the very last movie of this series, starring this couple. Yeah, I'm glad I got into this series last year because I cannot wait for this movie. I love the Conjuring part of the universe. Some of the spinoffs are kind of shit, but Conjuring I'm definitely excited for. I love their dynamic as a couple. What's his name? I can't remember his name. Patrick Wilson.
Yeah, Patrick Wilson.
Yeah, I love their
P. Willie. He's awesome.
P. Willie. That's a great name. But yeah, great trailer. I cannot wait for that. So Thunderbolts won the box office with no surprise last week with 76 million. Kind of low, but understandably, kind of in the time we are right now. Did end up making 162 million worldwide on a 180 million budget. They're going to be going over 200 million this weekend if they haven't already. So Sinners earned another 33 million, ended up being the third weekend in the box office, just a small 28% dip.
And it just got put back in IMAX.
Yeah, going back in IMAX.
That's awesome.
It left because of Thunderbolts going back in IMAX. Second biggest third domestic weekend in the box office, right behind Oppenheimer and Joker. It was great. Everybody who's not seen Sinners, I'm going to keep saying it until it leaves theater, but go see it. It's really good in theater. So it's come down to this. I guess we have to get political on this show.
Oh, yes.
So everybody knows if you're in America, you know about these tariffs and what's going on. And every foreign government, Trump is saying that he's going to be putting tariffs on. That's why if you've been grocery shopping lately, what was the thing I bought today? Cat food. It was up $3 compared to what it was the last time I bought it like a month and a half ago. Because it's coming out, anything that's coming in from Canada, anything that's coming out of country is being tariffed. So it's kind of being taxed from their company. Anyway, he went on to say that the movie industry is dying. No shit. So he wanted to implement 100% tariff on any movie coming into America from a foreign country. And that sent a shockwave through the entertainment industry because a lot of the reason why films aren't made in America anymore because the tax incentives suck. Filming in America costs a lot of money, especially in California, the home of Hollywood. You cannot film in Hollywood anymore because it costs too much. The tax incentives aren't there anymore.
That's definitely a big part of it.
State. That's why they film a lot of films in Atlanta. That's why they go to Toronto to film a lot of stuff in Vancouver. They film a lot of stuff out of the country, including big blockbusters.
They literally, Marvel just moved to London for Doomsday. They just built a complex for Doomsday in London.
Yeah, DC films over there. Everybody films out of country just because they get the incentive from that country to get rebates back.
The only reason why Superman didn't film anywhere else but America is because they wanted to film in Cleveland, the birthplace of the character. This will never go through. This will never.
No, it won't. And he's already he's kind of already backed off on it as far as he's talking about the James Bond franchise,
which we talked about yesterday.
Yep. He says James Bond has nothing to worry about. As you know, Sean Connery was a friend of mine. He was a great guy, Sean Connery.
Well, yeah.
So, yeah, he was on
Like
golf
the other
course
thing
a
too
lot,
is
so.
like a lot of other countries are used also because of location. Like you couldn't have
Locations, yeah.
filmed Lord of the Rings anywhere but New Zealand.
Right, but that
Like-
movie would have been part of the tariff, so because it
That's
would
what
have
I'm
been
saying.
a
Like you
foreign
can't film.
produced. Right.
You can't just green screen that film.
What are you gonna do it on Mount Rainier?
like-
You can't do
Like
Lord of the
instead-
Rings in
Instead
America.
of these tariffs, why not just give tax incentives like some cities do?
Yeah.
Like that would be the easiest workaround is okay, so now they're being made in America, but you're not going to make as much money off them, but
Yeah.
at least they're made in America.
Lots of problems with this. Lots of problems with this. One of the biggest tariff things I saw this week I wanted to bring up is comic book bags and boards are going to have 150% tariffs. They're being made in Canada.
Yeah, this is my biggest fear being a week to week now because something I never thought I'd become. I became the villain. I now buy week to week comics.
That's a slippery slope, Kevin. I've warned you so many times.
300 bags and boards about 2 months ago before this
Good.
tariff stuff started. But my main concern when the tariffs were announced is the fact that comic books are like 90% of them are printed, and the prices have not gone up yet.
They're
like,
kind of companies are
$5 a
taking
comic
that
is
in.
good, but
yeah,
$7.
Anything more than that, yeah.
It's the most expensive cheap thing you can collect because sure they're $5 each, but you get into a run and now you're like $140 in the hole.
What you're gonna see is magazines, comic books. You're gonna be those companies are gonna be taking in those losses in the beginning. That's gonna only last for so long before either number one they go under or number two they have to rise the price, like you said, and that's gonna be for the comic book industry. That would be the death nail. For magazines and newspapers, they're already on death's door.
Yep.
I know this from personal experience.
Yes.
But yeah, this could be the end of everything as far as we know. As far as the digital we know is the future, but this could be the end of a lot of things if it's not straightened out.
When I was in Florida, I went to a comic shop. I don't know if I told you this, but what I bought it was when Absolute Master Manhunter came out, and I bought that and a few others. And they actually bagged and boarded them for me. I don't know if I ever told you that, which was kind of cool.
No.
And I was like, oh, that's nice
cool.
of you guys to do, blah, blah, blah. The guy was like, well, you paid for the comic. You might as well get the bag and board. And then he was like, but during COVID, he's like, we almost couldn't afford to do this because during COVID, the price of the bag and boards went up because of how much shipping ended up costing them. Because of what was going on with COVID. Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah, bad time. Yeah, it's just a bad time in the country. But the memes are great. We got a new pope, and the boys decided to release a viral thing from the VOT International Twitter page of Homelander wanting to be the pope. Breaking news: Homelander reveals is going to be the new pope. The memes, the Jordan memes, the Chicago memes, the bear memes of the Chicago Pope taking whatever, not office, whatever the Pope becomes, have been astounding on Twitter. The last 24 hours has been amazing. And it's just going to get better and better. Once this guy actually comes over to America and goes and eats a Chicago beef sandwich in front of the cameras. By the way, I believe they said he was a White Sox fan, not a Cubs fan. I know you questioned that yesterday.
Yeah.
We'll be talking about that, I'm sure, in the weeks to come because he's the American darling right now. He actually took over the spotlight.
He's
Trump this
apparently
week.
He's very anti-Trump, very anti-MAGA. Interesting. And a lot of people the theory is that they chose him because of his stance against Trump.
Not only that,
the Catholic Church doesn't want anything to do with Trump. So.
Not only that, it's just America's looking bad right now. They want to have a good look for America outside of the country.
Yep.
Lots of cancellations this week on television. Started off with The Equalizer, which I cannot believe it lasted for 5 seasons on CBS.
That still going on is the biggest shocker of all.
For 5 seasons.
I didn't think it would last long.
Another show, which I'm surprised lasted, actually got rebooted the way it did, but Suits LA was canceled today on NBC. I never watched Suits. I know a lot of people that watched it loved the first time.
It was like, yeah, because on Netflix, all of a sudden, it was like the most watched thing because
Yeah.
NBC was fucking smart. They released, I think there's 9 seasons. They only put 8 on Netflix, and the only way you watch season 9 was to buy Peacock. I thought that was brilliant marketing.
Smart idea.
And because it got so popular on Netflix and Peacock numbers went up when people went to watch season 9, they greenlit a show in LA, which typically doesn't work. I think NCIS LA is like the only one. Like Law and Order LA failed. Like all the other LA shows fail after like 2 years when you move it out of New York or Chicago.
Yep. The other thing that was canceled today, which I'm kind of glad, after 3 seasons, Night Court. I tried to watch. I love Night Court.
I remember that, yeah, because you love the original. Yep.
I love Night Court. I watched this, and I was just how dare they stand where he stood.
I think you talked
Harry
about it a
was
few times.
the whole entire cast. The whole entire cast of the 80s was amazing, and they tried to replicate that, and they did a terrible job for the first few episodes I watched. Brought in John Larroquette, who still worked as a lawyer for New York City or wherever he worked. But that got canceled today as well after 3 seasons on NBC. So, Studio. Speaking of cancellations, going into renewals, Studio is renewed for season 2 officially on Apple TV.
Thank God.
That's awesome.
We need
Great
more
show.
of this. They gotta come up with another storyline that's very like hits home with movie fans that know what the fuck's going on. And this show is brilliant.
Yep. We talked last week about Ted Sarandos talking about how the movie theater model was outdated. Well, Ryan Johnson came out and said, obviously, I don't agree. And he wants Knives Out 3 to be in as many movie theaters as for as long as possible. That's the problem with Netflix. They don't release anything in the theaters.
Right. And
even Rebel Moon would have did okay
if
they released it.
Knives Out was out for 10 days and it was only in AMC and Regal. So it's only in about 2/3 of the theaters, and it made like $15 million on like limited showings.
Right.
Like, why wouldn't they want that money back in their pocket? Like, put something out for like 3 weeks and then drop it on Netflix. You also get hyped for whatever you're doing as long as you believe in the product. That's the thing is like, I thought Rebel Moon might have a chance to go to theaters, and then I saw it and said, well, I know why they didn't put this in theaters, but I mean, I feel like they should if it's a product they believe in.
Yeah. Explain to me something.
Yes, sir.
Totally going into the next topic.
Okay.
What is wrong with Martin Scorsese?
Cinema.
He came out this week saying that he was not a fan of The Sopranos. I have a feeling it's because he's so involved with the mob shit as far as his movies, Goodfellas, Raging Bull, all that stuff that came out in the 80s, 70s, early 90s.
Here's my stance on that whole situation. As you know, I was late to the Sopranos train. So were you. Martin Scorsese has made my favorite gangster anything.
Goodfellas.
Favorite mob anything. So I kind of, when I watched Sopranos, I enjoyed it. It was a great character study, but I wasn't overwhelmed by it. I wish I had seen it when it was on. So
I think, if we were into it then,
exactly.
I think we would have been on the train.
2000s. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, I would rather watch any Martin Scorsese mob movie over like the best episodes of The Sopranos. That's just how I am. I understand why it's so highly regarded because it's a fucking great show. But to say
that you don't like it at all.
But the shit on it is something else entirely.
Right. Yeah, especially when you're into that mob shit, and
right.
For everybody that says that show is pretty authentic as far as New Jersey at that time. So it's
and maybe he's offended by that. I don't know.
Maybe
the dude's 82 years old.
Yeah. I don't even get into the comic book stuff he said. We talked about it before, but
he's 82 years old. So yeah, he was in his mid 60s when the show came out. For Christ's sake.
Yeah. Got a first look at another first look for 28 years later. This is Ralph Fiennes, the beginning of a crossing a river or something. I have fucking no clue. 2 of these, I gotta watch those 2 movies before we see this movie whenever it comes out.
They're fucking good.
Got a new look at George Clooney in another movie playing. I don't even know what this is. Jay Kelly. It's coming out on Netflix on November 14th or December 5th, coming out in theaters November 14th. But it's him and Adam Sandler and Laura Dern. It's going to be interesting to see him working off of Adam Sandler or vice versa. So, also got a first look at what Pamela Anderson is going to look like in The Naked Gun, the movie with Liam Neeson is coming out this summer, which I had kind of mixed hopes for until I saw the trailer and realized it's going to be great. But yeah, Pamela Anderson coming back into acting after being kind of absent from Hollywood and everything else for a while. They're going to be making a movie called Breaking Bear. It's going to be an animated movie described as Yogi Bear meets The Sopranos. Animated series, I guess, follows a family of bears who go full criminal to stop frackers, mobsters, and a wolf pack from destroying their home. Interesting. Brendan Fraser, Sarah Michelle Gellar, Annie Murphy, and Elizabeth Hurley. Josh Gad going to be starring in that animated series. Kind of weird. M. Night Shyamalan's Remain, his next movie, starring Jake Gyllenhaal and Phoebe, I don't know who she is going to release on October 23rd in 2026. There's another horror movie coming out that day, too. Do you remember what it was? I remember seeing stories.
It's Jordan Peele's new movie. He hasn't
Jordan Peele's new movie. That's what it was. Yep.
It's going to be the new Oppenheimer. What are we going to call it? Or Barbieheimer.
Yep.
M. Night Peele. I got nothing.
I've got nothing.
Jordan Shyamalan. I don't know. I got nothing.
Animated series announced today for Ted. The Ted films. They're going to be continuing the series in a sequel as animation. Seth MacFarlane, of course, popularized by animation. Yes. Mark Wahlberg, Amanda Seyfried, Jessica Barth are all going to be coming back to reprise their roles from the movie. And of course, Seth MacFarlane coming in to do Ted.
I need season
had
2
a little
news.
trailer. Yeah, that's coming out soon. I think they stopped. They're all done filming it. But
really? Okay, I did
post
not know
production.
that.
Oh yeah,
Okay,
that's
good,
done.
good.
That's gonna be coming out this summer, I think.
Okay, good.
Or probably in the fall. Fallout season 2 ended filming today. Yesterday, actually. Walter Goggins posted his picture online on the Fallout Instagram, Twitters of him taking off the makeup.
The Twitters.
Of the character he plays in Fallout, and of course the other 3 characters from the show posing as they're leaving the series for season 2 filming ending. So cannot wait for that. The Lord of the Rings, The Hunt for Gollum, officially coming out in 2027. For some reason I can't remove that. Coming out 2027 on December 17th. Yeah, Andy Serkis is going to be, of course, reprising his role of Gollum. Not sure who else is going to be a part of that, but yeah, we'll have to wait and see on that. Metallica currently doing a world tour again for their 72 Seasons album. They were at Virginia Tech, I believe, 2 nights ago, and they were rocking so hard in the stadium at Virginia Tech that it was registered as a small earthquake in Virginia.
That's awesome.
I love Metallica. I want to see them again before they retire because who knows how long they're going to be going on. But announced today, Godzilla vs. Kong is going to have a sequel, second sequel, Godzilla Kong Supernova. Dun dun dun.
That sounds fucking terrible.
It sounds like a B movie.
It does.
But yeah. They released a little trailer today before we came on and recorded. It's going to be coming out sometime. It started filming today. So, Jaws 50th anniversary is this summer. 4th of July is going to be big. And it's going to be coming back into theaters. And of course, there is a popcorn bucket. Jaws popcorn bucket's coming out. I'm not sure who. Alamo Drafthouse this is what's going to come out. So yeah, Jaws popcorn bucket if you feel inclined. One of the greatest things about Jaws, if I was to ever see it in the theater or a theater experience, I would want to do those shows. I know they have them in Florida in the summertime when they're in a pool.
I was gonna say, or a lake of some kind,
or even the ocean.
Yep,
where you're on a float watching the movie on a big screen from on the shore as you're in the ocean watching, or in water. That'd be
really
so
much fun. Yeah,
that'd be the only way I'd watch it.
When I build a moat around my house, we'll do that.
Yes, yeah, let's do that, Kevin. Let's get into some swag.
Swag. Stuff we all get.
Come on, son. You know that's right.
We got some Deadpool variants coming out. Deadpool swag from literature. We got the Cthulhu. We got Cthulhu. We got the ghost from Christmas Carol. We got looks like Blackbeard. Looks like Three Musketeers or something there. I can't really tell. Maybe Shakespeare. I don't know what that is. But yeah. Also announced this week from Co. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie action figures from Pop Figures, including the very first time of having an Ivan Ooze. If you ever wanted an Ivan Ooze pop figure, this is the time, people. I mean, the shitty droid, the shitty Zord that they had in that too. That movie was terrible, and I was a huge Power Rangers fan back in the 90s. That movie was god awful.
Was that the first movie?
That was the first movie, yeah,
Okay.
1995. They changed the suits. It was all CG. You could tell the budget was just as bad as the TV show budget. It's almost like they just said, let's just make a longer version. There's a little bit more CG. I mean, you're talking about this was a year after, or actually the same year Toy Story came out, and the CG on this looked cartoonish and horrible. So yeah, it was not good. But the Ivan Ooze character, even that was weird. So yeah, that's coming out in pop figure. But this one I actually pre-ordered today. Superman in a telephone booth from Superman the movie from '78.
Even though he doesn't change in the telephone.
Not until the third movie.
Yeah,
second or third movie.
Yeah.
I can't remember which one. I
think
the third one. Yeah, but it does look cool.
It does.
And yeah,
I like how the tie's like off to the side and he's ripping his shirt.
Exclusive on Target. If you want, I don't know if it's still on pre-order or not, but if you want to pre-order that, it's on Target. Brand new photos of Superman figures coming out, including one called Hammer.
Yeah, it's the Hammer Barovia.
I have no idea what this character is. I just wanted to bring it up. I've seen pictures online of this character, and everybody's saying it could be Lex's
Iron suit.
It's not. No. Iron suit, it's not.
It's the Hammer Barovia.
You brought this up earlier, but you sent me a picture during the game of these. Probably the one thing that fucked up his game. These Superman shoes.
Fuck off. Sorry, was that out loud?
He wore them game one of the NBA playoffs. Very, very cool. He actually did a commercial for DC.
He wore his regular shoes during the game. He wore these during warm-ups. So.
But he did a commercial for DC. That's the whole reason why he was promoting it. And yeah, he wore these.
Those are sexy as fuck.
Very cool. Love the blue.
The cool thing is those lines that are on the suit that everyone, not everyone, the Snyder Cult complains about, are actually like kind of on Jason Tatum's like normal shoe. I have a pair of Tatum's myself. But if I see these or whatever, I will probably be buying them because I think they look fucking sexy.
I love the color. Yeah. I love that blue.
That's what
looks
I'm
awesome.
saying.
The red too. Looks awesome. Speaking of Superman, there's gonna be a new show coming out in June, and one of the episodes of the first season. It's gonna be on Food Network. It's gonna be the cake guy Duff, whatever his name is.
Yeah.
And one of the episodes can be tackling the Superman movie. And as you can see a preview there, you got Krypto and Superman flying. It looks like the Fortress of Solitude behind them, all made out of cake. So I remember when Duff first came around, him and the Cake Boss.
Yep.
All around that same time.
Show. Love that show.
Great show. I love how creative he is.
I like him a lot.
Yeah, he's a very creative guy. So, and before we get into the picture that was released today, Dairy Queen, this leaked this week. They're going to be having a cake batter cookie dough blizzard coming out, and they already have promotion for Superman showing up.
I love
online.
cake batter ice cream too. So,
Dairy Queen is underrated. Great fast food as far as ice cream is concerned.
Their blizzards are good. Their regular ice cream is kind of bland, like if you just get like a vanilla cone. But their blizzards are fantastic.
Cherry dip.
Oh, the cherry dipped. Oh my god, fire.
Yep. They got canceled, brought back.
I have a question for you.
Yeah, what's up?
Where's all the marketing? I'm told they aren't marketing this film. Using Dairy Queen, the worst fast food. You saw that post on Twitter.
I did see it. Number one, the movie comes out in what, 2 months? In 2 days, it'll be 2 months.
Yep.
So I would say by Monday, number one, we're gonna get a trailer. But by the time we record next week, we're gonna be getting a trailer.
Know. I guarantee you, he puts it out on Monday or Tuesday, or we're not like 2 days before the trailer drops. He's gonna let us know when the trailer drops. Just like Peacemaker.
When do the NBA finals start?
Mid-June.
At the current rate we're at right now, mid-June, you think?
it's always, no matter how fast the series finishes, it's always on a TV schedule. So it's always like second week of June. Second week of June will be the finals will start.
So we'll get it way before that, but we probably get some sort of a first look around that time.
I bet we get it next week because it'll be in front of their final decision coming out, I think, next week, and they have something else.
Yes.
Mission
so Impossible.
So it'll be before those two. I bet Thursday we get it.
Yep. But this was released today. First look, another look at of Superman, the robot, and Crypto in the Fortress of Solitude. This came out today. Screen Rant released it exclusively. James Gunn went online talking about happy anniversary to Clayface. There's a lot of questions about this movie. Was it canceled? Was it not? And I noticed that he said, happy anniversary to legendary shapeshifter Clayface, master of deception. Supervillain can become anything or anyone, even the star of his own film, coming 2026. So it's still coming out as far as work as he's concerned on schedule.
People are freaking out because they hired somebody to like go over the script one more time.
Yeah.
I doubt it's a page one rewrite. It might honestly just be to add a certain character that could be in a Clayface movie, and it would make sense.
Yes, you're right.
That may or may not have dead parents, and may or may not wear a mask, and may or may not call himself Batman.
We gotta talk about that.
I don't think it's a huge deal. A lot of people are freaking out because I think people are mad because it was Flanagan's script and it was Flanagan's idea and everything. And Flanagan's a really, really, really highly respected writer. So I think people were freaking out about that. I personally, until we know how much is rewritten, I don't really care. I'm looking forward to this movie.
Thank you for reminding me about Batman. We got to talk about that. Matt Reeves' Batman in question has been in question for a while. Somebody saw, I can't remember how this came up. Maybe you know more about it. Somebody saw a production for
it's a production
Batman
sheet
2 going in production at the end of the year. Matt Reeves not on the production sheet as director.
Correct. But
speculation going wild that he's not going to be director of the Batman. If the Batman 2 happens, it'll be Matt Reeves. If it doesn't happen, it won't be Matt Reeves.
I think they will use his script and have somebody else direct.
Do you really think that'll happen?
If he wants them to and he can't do it, yes.
Okay, maybe scheduling. Yeah, I could see.
Personally, if he is going through what people are speculating, besides his divorce, that he has a serious health issue, he can't be on set for 18 hours a day. He just can't do that. Also, this production
that'd be different.
This production sheet also lists Jeff Johns as a producer on it, and he had nothing to do with the Batman movie. So I thought that was kind of odd. He also on his IMDb page has nothing related to DC coming up. So I don't know if the production sheet is real or not. I did watch the Campia segment today because he's knowledgeable because he used to be a lawyer and knows the shit. And he says that they are a reputable site, but it might just be like it might not be real. It could be one of those things where they're waiting to see what's going on with Matt Reeves. He himself apparently knows what's going on with Matt Reeves, so I'll just trust him because he's more of an expert than me. But he said that he thinks if they do it, it'll be with Matt Reeves' script. If Matt Reeves can't direct, he'll probably pick somebody to direct it for him. Just like he did the entire outline of the Penguin series, but didn't do anything else with it. That could happen.
Okay, so yeah, if it's a health issue, I understand that.
Yes.
But if it wasn't the health issue part of it, this movie would not be made. They would just scrap it completely.
Oh, yeah. If Matt Reeves was just like done or didn't want to work with James or DC at the time, whatever. But I think Matt wants this movie done. It's just, will he be able to make it next March when they're supposed to start filming?
Yep. Joining the cast of Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, Alice Houghton is joining the cast of a Scalarian Raider, part of the comic book. So yeah. Ryan Reynolds is reportedly writing a treatment for having 3 to 4 members of the X-Men as part of a team up with Deadpool. No talks with Marvel. Nobody knows about it. It's just him talking about doing it himself. Kind of the guerrilla marketing that he's known to be doing in the past. Putting it out in the ether to see what the world says. Kevin Feige probably not going to sign off on this just because he's working on the X-Men, unless they use some obscure X-Men or X-Force.
Right. They could use
something.
I mean, the first Deadpool was what's her name was the most obscure X-Men of all time.
Right.
Neo, whatever her name was.
Nagasonic team.
She's in literally like I think one issue of X-Men comics from like the 60s.
She was the best, part of that movie. One of the best parts of that first movie. Yeah,
by far.
So yeah, we'll have to wait and see on that. X-Men, lots of rumors about that. We'll get into at the end. OT Fagbenel. Don't know who this guy is. Seen him in a bunch of stuff. He was in Black Widow. He was the South African guy who was friends with Natasha.
Yep.
He wanted to play. The Marvel Studios originally wanted him to play Taskmaster, kind of be a more comic accurate version of Taskmaster.
Can I just say this? I didn't see Thunderbolts, but that clip's been going around. Taskmaster, funniest death ever.
Oh yeah, there's a spoiler for you. Lasted in the movie about 5 minutes.
That's how early it was. I've seen the clip like 20 times and laugh every time.
We already know about the marketing. I cannot wait to get into the spoilers. By the way, I have so many notes on that movie. But yeah, they wanted to make him play Taskmaster. He made him with an African accent. And he's gonna be more maniacal like character, more comic book accurate. But yeah, they went a whole other direction with the female version of Taskmaster, who was an old widow, Black Widow. It was weird. It
was awful.
Rightfully so. They killed it off in Thunderbolts in pretty quick fashion. So, yep. The marketing, I think we'll talk about it this week because you already know. Thunderbolts changed to on Monday morning.
Yep.
Changed to the new Avengers.
Yep.
There was not only the post-credit scene, the last scene you see is Val setting up this team of everybody who was the Thunderbolts as the new Avengers, kind of the save face. And the after credits tackles it, the mid credits tackle it. The after credits. You know anything about the after credits scene of what happened in the movie?
I know. We could literally talk spoilers about the movie next week if you want to just plan it without me seeing the movie because I've fucking seen everything.
We're gonna get into it. The big thing at the end is the Fantastic Four. We'll get into all that next week. I have all the notes. Yep. I don't have them up, but
yeah.
We'll talk about it next week. Got a new picture of Herbie from Fantastic Four came out this week. Going to be voiced by Matthew Wood, who did the voice of General Grievous and the Battle Droids in Star Wars.
Yeah. So where's Homeboy? What's Homeboy's role in this? Because everyone assumed he was Herbie. What's his name from Cobra Kai? And
no, he's going to be Mole Man for sure.
You think so? Okay.
Paul Walter Hauser.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
he's gonna be Mole
Man's definitely in the movie now. Okay.
Yeah. Well, this is gonna be a kind of like Superman Legacy was gonna be a legacy of Superman. This is gonna be a legacy of the Fantastic Four, and I have a feeling they're gonna be going back since it's a whole other world. They're gonna be going back to the earlier comics, especially the '60s comics. Very first issue. I believe he meets up with the Mole Man.
Yeah.
Mole Man.
Okay.
I can't remember. But yeah, he'll be a part of it. There's some other characters that could show up too. Kind of like if rumors are true, there's going to be a montage at the beginning of the movie of them fighting a whole bunch of villains. And I think Paul Walter Hauser will kind of be the lead of that. But we'll have to wait and see on that. Also got a picture. They're doing reshoots of Fantastic Four currently. And we got a picture of Julia Garner, this Silver Surfer in this movie, in full garb on her planet probably as Shia LaBeouf.
Yep.
And if they're going to be going comic accurate, of course, this is another universe, but Shia LaBeouf is from the same planet as
Norrin Red.
Silver Surfer. So they're kind of love tied together, but doing the role reversal in this movie where she becomes the Herald of Galactus. So, currently filming reshoots, which always happens right around this time. So, it seems like they're right on schedule. Wall Street Journal came out with an article this week talking about Marvel Studios and how things are changing over there and how Kevin Feige was against Disney Plus shows, but saw the story potential and also wanted to play nice with Disney leadership at the time and all the investors. So he went with it. Marvel Studios is going under a transition, which we've been hearing for weeks and years and months, where quality is going to be key over quantity. He's aware of the many misses in Phase 4 and 5. And is course correcting. It's kind of, I think Thunderbolts was the first part of that. And Kevin Feige was so exhausted and spread out that when he finally offered his advice on multiple projects, they were already done in post-production.
This is literally why he wanted James Gunn to be his right-hand man before his tweets
take over some of the responsibilities.
Take over because it's somebody he trusted. Now he just is back by himself. So,
but they are going to be downplaying the output. TV
God.
shows are going to be doing 1 to 2
a year
seasons a year. However, Vision Quest, rumors are that will be the final Marvel TV series to feature a major movie character. Going forward, the TV series are going to be focusing on secondary characters, B-C characters,
like the
giving
iHeart
them their
show,
spot, or Echo, giving them their spotlight, or going to be introducing characters, which I think is a
makes
fantastic
sense.
idea.
And then you can bring them into the movies if you have to.
Right, already developed
Yeah.
without having to have the
Which is
background,
your
and
whole
the
thing
origin.
about you wanted
Yep.
like X-Men stories basically told like this, then they could be brought into the
a
universe,
weekly
Yeah.
X-Men anthology series
Yep.
with the characters, and then have them all team up. That would be amazing.
Yep.
No brainer.
as long as it's done correctly. But yeah, but I mean,
Yeah,
the
they have to have the
problem
right
is, like,
writers.
an
Yeah.
X-Men show would cost so much money, so why not just do a movie that you'll make all that money back in? That's
Right.
the issue there. But
Unless they
that
care about
would be
if they,
excellent.
yeah, because streaming is not the same as it was 5 years ago, where
Right.
everybody cared about streaming because everybody was home.
Mhm.
That's the other reason too. But yeah. Joining the cast is Spider-Man Brand New Day. Right straight out of the Bear. Lisa Collins Zayas, who is the wife of Batista from Dexter. Her being cast can only mean one thing, and everybody can say what they want. She is going to be playing Miles Morales' mother for certain. She's going to have a huge profile role in this movie.
Yep.
We already know Tom Holland wants Miles part of this movie, so they must have done it.
I think everyone does. I do.
If that's the case, perfect fucking casting.
Yep.
She's awesome in the Bear. Showcased her talent tremendously.
Last season, her episode still sticks with me. It was so
incredible,
goddamn good.
Incredible. Finally, in news, joining the cast, or right out of Thunderbolts. Everybody's been talking about Jake Shearer. I don't know how to say his last name. But I don't know what else he did before this.
Beef.
But he came into Beef. Okay,
which was huge on Netflix.
It was
excellent. That's the only reason why Stephen Yen was going to be Sentry, is because he was in Beef.
That's right. Came in, directed Thunderbolts, and everybody loved him. Everybody loves the movie. So rumors came out this week, and Deadline picked it up. Hollywood Reporter picked it up that he's in talks with Marvel to direct X-Men, the X-Men movie. We just talked about X-Men a minute ago.
Technically, that's only because Ryan Coogler was like, "Nah, I'm good," because they offered it to him a long time ago, and he was like, "Nah."
Yeah.
But yeah, this would be cool. Everything I've heard about this movie, regardless of the box office and that it still might not make money, is that it's fantastic, and this guy's the right guy to handle an ensemble film. So I look forward to it.
Yep. Yeah. We'll talk about Thunderbolts next week. Yeah, that's it for news. Next week, Thunderbolts. Hopefully, we'll talk all about it. Also, next week, we've got The Last Dance. I'm going to watch a few more episodes of that. Mobland episode 7, Last of Us episode 5, the finale of Andor. I cannot wait to watch that. Talk about episodes 10 through 12. Next week's Dark Side of the Ring episode 8, the original Sheik. We know uncle of Sabu. I know Sabu was part of the episode.
Yep. The
uncle. Yep. I believe it comes out on the 13th. Tom Segura's anthology series, kind of set like Twilight Zone for comedy, coming out on Netflix, called Bad Thoughts. I'm going to try to watch that, and we're going to talk about that. I'm also going to watch the Kevin Bacon show, The Huntsman. I'm going to try to finish that as well and talk about the finale of that. That was a great show. I cannot wait to get back into it. So thank you, everyone, and we will talk to you next week. Peace.
We're the Geek Blurb crew, here to enlighten you, talking all things geeky, from movies to wrestling to our podcast is the place where you wanna be for all the latest news and nostalgia from the 80s and 90s. We review comic book flicks and sci-fi hits, riding the wave of action movies with all the cool bits. From Iron Man to Star Wars, we cover it all. And when it comes to wrestling, we never drop the ball. Geek Blurb, we're the kings of the nerds, rating movies and pineapples, our opinions never blur. Join us each week for a geeky chat with the you're a fan of the comic book craze, or a lover of sci-fi and all its maze, tune in to Geek Blurb, we're here to entertain, bringing you the best in geekdom, it's our domain.